turning point in Israel-Hamas war. In a big declaration, the Israeli Defense Forces have said that Hamas has lost control of the Gaza Strip it had ruled for 16 years. It has further added that terrorists are fleeing down south and civilians are looting Hamas bases. Not just this, IDF has shared a historic photo on Monday showing the Israeli flag inside the Hamas Parliament building in Gaza. In the picture, the team of soldiers can be seen waving the Israeli flag in the terrorist organization's Legislative Council building. Calling it an extraordinary achievement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that if Hamas is not finished, they will return. Also, he has added that it is not an operation, but a war to the end. Meanwhile, the military wing of the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas informed that they are prepared to release around 70 women and children currently held in Gaza. This offer is contingent on the condition that a 5-day truce is established.
הישג בלתי רגיל, באמת, אדיר, אין מילים. אני חושב שמה שעשיתם פה, הכרעתם פה את הקרב. אתם פשוט הכרעתם פה את הקרב. לוחמות ולוחמים. בתעוזה בלתי רגילה, גם בתושייה בלתי רגילה, אני חייב להגיד. כל הכבוד לכם. זה אומר המון. במצב הכי גרוע שיכול להיות להפוך את הקרב, זה אומר המון. זה מה שאנחנו עושים עכשיו גם כן. הכוחות בפנים, וזה לא מבצע. זה לא סבב. זה מלחמה עד הסוף. עד הסוף. חשוב לי שתדעו את זה. זה לא מן השפה אל החוץ, זה מהלב החוצה, וגם מהשכל החוצה. אם אנחנו לא גומרים אותם, זה יחזור.
Now, as Israel continues to strike Gaza, my colleague Pooja Shali will help explain the ground operation being carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces. Take a look.
India Today's team has prepared this map for you to help you understand what you're looking at, these visuals on the ground. How does it look like as an illustration on the map? So in green, this is the Gaza Strip. This is from where the Hamas terrorists had come into Israel on 7th October, and now the ground invasion and the ground offensive that's happening. So this is the strip. Mainly the ground offensive is in this area, which is the northern belt of the Gaza Strip. This yellow is Israeli ground forces where they have managed to take control in these areas. The pink that you see is primarily the focus where the advances of the Israeli Defense Forces are taking place. Bet Leah, these are the areas in North Gaza where the main war, so to say, is happening, not in the southern part. Al-Shifa Hospital has been, of course, the center of the flashpoint. Many Palestinians have said that the hospital is being targeted, while IDF says there is a Hamas operation that is primarily based underneath in these tunnels, and they're using patients as human shields to ensure IDF does not target. Currently, this is the area where the IDF has taken massive control, including that of the parliament. This blue strip that you see is Salah al-Din. This is the humanitarian corridor that Israel has decided. So even though, of course, it's tragic that many Palestinians have to flee from north towards south, and there also casualties have taken place, but this is nevertheless with a white flag. Many of these have been able to use this corridor to safely move towards the southern part so that the IDF can ensure that Hamas is eradicated with the control from the northern belt. So this is the temporary corridor area. This is the Rafah crossing with Egypt, and these are the humanitarian zones. So no war, no attacks by IDF, no precision strikes are taking place on this side, but this area is where currently all the altercation is. Of course, remember, there are appeals to ceasefire, stop the war, to ensure no casualties take place. But currently, the focus here will be one for the hostages and whether the world can come together to ensure that Hamas terror ends. And then Israel, what happens next with the war? Can it come to an end here in the northern belt itself and does not escalate?
Now, amid the escalating war between Israel and Hamas, the Israeli Defense Forces have released a 6-minute-long video where it claims to expose the tactics of Hamas. The video shows the tunnel which exits into Gaza's Rantisi hospital. According to IDF, these tunnels are being used by Hamas terrorists to hide, operate and hold Israeli hostages against their will. Meanwhile, Israeli forces continue to pound Gaza. IDF attacked Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City, forcing hundreds to flee. IDF units also ran into an ambush and came under fire while operating near Al-Quds hospital. On the other hand, US President Joe Biden has said that he is concerned about the conditions at and around Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza, where in fact forces are fighting with Hamas, adding that the hospital must be protected.
An operational tunnel. The tunnel is built with electricity. We first saw the solar panels, then the electricity goes here, and it goes down directly to the tunnel. Now you can see the tunnel. You can see the tunnel. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down. The rowboat found a door that is bulletproof. It's explosives proof, so it looks like a hard evidence, a clear evidence that the hospital direction is connected. We're now entering into the area of the hospital where we had found the evidence. This operation was conducted by Israeli Special Unit, the Israeli Navy SEALs. I want you to understand, this kind of gear is a gear for a major fight. These are explosives. These are vests with explosives. A woman, clothes, and a rope. A rope next to the legs. And look above this. Look above it. It's a baby bottle. It's a baby bottle in a basement. Above a World Health Organization sign. This is a suspicion for an area where hostages were being held. There is a list. This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation. The operation against Israel started in the 7th of October. This is a Guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here. I went to the hospital with a video camera and personally documented more concrete evidence. The concrete evidence are that Hamas uses hospitals as an instrument of war. Underneath the hospital, in the basement, we found a Hamas command and control center, suicide bomb vests, grenades, AK-47 assault rifles, explosive devices, RPGs and other weapons, computers, money, etc. And we also found signs that indicate that Hamas held hostages here.
I have not been reluctant in expressing my concerns what's going on. And it's my hope and expectation that there will be less intrusive action relative to the hospital. We're in contact and with the Israelis. Also, there's an effort to take this pause to deal with the release of prisoners. And that's being negotiated as well with the Qataris that are engaged. And so I remain somewhat hopeful. But the hospital must be protected.
Israel must be able to defend itself against terror, restore its security, and bring the hostages home. But there are many things that Israel must do as part of its response. We've been clear that they must act within international law. They must take all measures to protect innocent civilians, including at hospitals, stop extremist violence in the West Bank, and allow more aid into Gaza. Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, described to me the terrible suffering of the Palestinian people. Too many civilians are losing their lives. That's why I've doubled our aid to Gaza and why we continue to press, both at the United Nations and directly with Israel, for unhindered humanitarian access and urgent and substantive humanitarian pauses.
At night, we were sheltering in God's safety in Al-Shifa, a safe area. The maternity ward was shelled, and I was scared for my family, the young ones. You can see the elderly. There were a lot of strikes, shells and bombs, even next to the Al-Shifa. Al-Shifa is a dangerous place.
So there you heard a resident of Gaza speaking about the attack on the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. My colleague Pooja Shali takes you through those details.
This is the Gaza Strip in green here. This is the map for you to understand where the area looks like. When we look at the Gaza Strip, there are a number of hospitals, specifically maternity and children's hospital as well, and they have now become the flashpoint. Rantisi Children's Hospital that I'm talking about here, this is the Gaza City area. That is where the tunnels maze have been shown, where according to the IDF, hostages were kept. They have found evidence to know that there were, at least some time ago, there were some hostages and children who are being kept there. Al-Shifa Hospital is one of the main places, according to the IDF, where the Hamas commanders and Hamas operations are. And they know that a hospital will not be targeted. If it is targeted, the death toll, the heartbreaking images that will surface will clearly work against the IDF. So these are number of hospitals, including Al-Quds, the premises around where we saw the precision strikes that take place. According to IDF, they know that there are Hamas areas here. They've been requesting and urging the patients and the hospitals to try and move, try and evacuate, but many have said that they're unable to do so. It's not easy to evacuate from the hospitals too. So this has now become the fresh flashpoint for the toughest operation that the IDF says they have enough evidence to know, and even the USA has given out a statement to say they know about Hamas that does operate from underneath these hospitals.
Babies bearing the brunt of the war. Al-Shifa Hospital is in tatters as Israel ups the airstrikes. Caught in the war are innocent babies. There's no power in the hospital. Babies have been taken off the incubators. 3 babies have lost their lives so far. There's been no relief for Palestinians as they endured another night of deadly attacks. More in this report.
Israeli troops advance on Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital. Gaza's main hospital hit by series of powerful explosions. No power, very little fuel. The largest hospital in Gaza is in shambles amid deadly Israeli attacks. And the victims falling to the brutal war are innocent babies. Prematurely born babies are at the risk of dying. Newborns are reportedly being taken off incubators as Israel lays siege to the hospital compound. Israel, however, defended its action and released images of its troops supplying 300 liters of fuel to the hospital, while alleging that Hamas prevented the embattled medical center from accepting it.
The IDF has repeatedly stated, our war is with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza. We're doing everything we can to mitigate harm to civilians and increase humanitarian aid. In the last 24 hours, the IDF has delivered 300 liters of fuel to Shifa Hospital's doorstep. Yet the fuel remains untouched after Hamas threatened hospital staff.
Israel has repeatedly said that Hamas terrorists have turned tunnels under Al-Shifa Hospital into deep underground military headquarters, stockpiling ammunition used to attack Israel.
Hamas uses Shifa Hospital as a shield for Hamas terror infrastructure. Hamas wages war from hospitals. By operating from these hospitals, Hamas not only endangers the lives of Israelis, civilians, but also exploit innocent Gazan civilians as human shield. Shifa is not the only hospital, it is one of many. Hamas' use of hospitals is systematic. Hamas terrorists operate inside hospitals precisely because they know the IDF distinguishes between terrorists and civilians.
Will innocent babies keep paying the price of this war? With Rajesh Pawar in Sedrot, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's give you a sense of this terror network of Hamas's, the tunnel network per se, which they've been using in order to, in fact, infiltrate into Israel. As you can see that network on your screens, the green strip, of course, is Gaza, which is, as far as Israel is concerned, the southern part of Israel. You can see that tunnel network. These are elaborate tunnels that have been built. You saw the Israeli soldier over there explain earlier in terms of the bulletproof doors, how they've been built as well, the electricity supply that goes down to these tunnels as well. So it's an elaborate network that Hamas militants and terrorists have been using for years now in order to infiltrate into Israel, which they did as well on October 7.